Hi, my name's Tom, and before the School of Code, I graduated with a degree in music from the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire. Since then, I spent a few years in digital marketing. Now I'm looking to swap composing and copywriting for coding and collaborating.
Hi, I'm Najma. I studied neuroscience at university, recently graduated, wasn't sure what to do next. Then I became interested in tech and joined the School of Code, where I now spend my days solving problems, being creative, and doing something that I love.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a hardworking mother of three with a background in technical support and customer service management at large tech companies like Blizzard Entertainment and Apple, and I've recently reskilled into software engineering via the School of Code bootcamp.
Hello, my name is Pietro. I'm a 33 years old guy from Italy, Palermo. And after being working in a casino for 10 years, I decided to give a change to my career. So that's why I joined to School of Code with intention to one day join the tech industry. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ilham Abdi and I have a background in English literature. I found coding and the School of Code bootcamp because my friend piqued my interest a couple of months ago, and that's how I started my journey.
Hi, I'm George. I was a mental health nurse before I decided to change careers and started to learn to code with the School of Code bootcamp. I love video gaming and I'm really interested in starting my first job in the video games industry. I'm particularly interested in level and character design as well as gameplay development.
The problem? The problem is this. We're in a pandemic and we're somewhat used to being in a pandemic. Somewhat used to being in our homes and in the country. It's only in recent months that countries have started to properly holiday again, and our app aims to help with that decision-making process. What do you need to search into Google? Sometimes the decision-making process is burdensome and made even more burdensome by overly complex websites. Sometimes we only have a vague idea of where we want to go, the beach, or somewhere inexpensive, or somewhere in South America. Sometimes we want to be spontaneous and have that decision made for us. Sometimes we need that information quickly. We want short lists and concise information, and that's what we've tried to do at beyonderbound. Holidaying, and in particular holidays abroad, are a part of regular life for most people. Everyone eventually gets tired of their life and, by extension, the country that they live in. Once upon a time, in the pre-pandemic past years, 60% of UK travel abroad was to holiday. Things have since changed, of course. In 2020, the rate of travel decreased by 78% compared to the previous year. Now, in 2022, with vaccinations and systems in place to make traveling easier, people are rearing to go. But the problem remains. Where? The solution. Our app focuses on allowing the user to search and filter through cities and countries to find a location that suits their needs. If you feel the need to have that decision made for you, you can. If you want to holiday in Belgium, we have some cities that you may want to consider. If you'd like a fairly inexpensive city, somewhere in Asia, we can provide that information for you. That, as well as the average temperature, a little bit about the city, and some of its main and popular attractions. We aim to cater to all, no matter how far along the planning process you are. And to do that, we're mobile and desktop friendly.
Welcome to the beyonderbound main page. You can see we have our logo on the left side and the hamburger menu on the right side. Clicking on the hamburger menu on top, we can select two links, one that sends you to the home page and one that sends you to the About Us page. The About Us page contains a little intro of our team journey, followed by a flip cards that contain info about our portfolio, LinkedIn, GitHub repo with all our personal projects. If you go back to the page in the center, we have our search area where we can find our favorite cities and country. By typing the database will filter the city and country that match at the bottom. Hovering on the input text, we open a little tooltip that shows the different filters we can use, followed by an advanced search that allow you to search for cities and countries depending on different parameters, and the lucky dip button that randomly generates a city for you. Right below, we have a carousel called Country to Discover. This is an auto carousel that retrieves 6 random countries from the database at every refresh. By clicking on the country, we are opening a page that contains 2-3 city names, followed by a small description about the selected country. If we move to the cities page, we have info about the rating, what is great for, a connection to an external weather API, a little description about the city popular attractions, and a link that sends you back to the countries page. At the bottom we have 3 cars, top 22 destination with the best destination 2022, travel tips page to avoid surprise during the holiday, and the resort now page with the list of the hottest destination. Last but not least, it's important to highlight that this website has been created following a mobile first approach. Thank you.
In terms of the journey we took to create a solution to our problem, at the very beginning of this journey, after we got to know each other a bit, we wrote a manifesto which outlined what our team stood for and how we'd work as a team, as well as how we would move forward through any conflicts which may arise. We also decided to take an agile approach to our project management and software development by having daily sprints, setting up weekly milestones at the beginning of every week, starting the day with morning stand-ups where we would discuss what we were going to work on for the day, as well as any blockers, and finishing off the day with an afternoon retrospective where we would discuss what went well, what didn't go so well, and what we've learned. We used tools such as Jira and Miro to achieve this. Then it was on to the ideation stage. Our ideation stage consisted of brainstorming ideas and using a democratic decision process to narrow down our ideas and settle on our final app concept. We then came up with a list of potential features we could include in our app and did some user research to see which features resonated the most, as well as those which resonated the least. We did this mainly by sending out a Google form and having a chat through Zoom with boot campers from other teams. The data we collected through user research was insightful as it allowed us to develop our app in a user-centric way. We also created user stories, which helped us to establish the value our app would provide to the end user.
After following all the processes as Najma just described, we then began our design process. First, we started with our low-fidelity design using Excalibur, which enabled us to live share the design, promoting the teamwork aspect of this part of the project. We came up with some ideas for the mobile version of our app first, as we felt that it would be much easier to design the mobile versions and convert this into the desktop versions afterwards, rather than doing it in reverse. A lot of our low fidelity made it into our high fidelity design, as we will now see. For our high fidelity design, we used Figma, as again, this allowed us to live share and so maintain the high level of teamwork that we'd emphasised in our team manifesto. We spent a lot of time on our high fidelity design, as we agreed that having a well-designed app concept would allow us to break down the code in ahead of us into easier to manage chunks, as we would all be clear on how the app was meant to look and function. We went as far as adding some functionality features to the Figma design using the available tools it provides, such as making mock-up drop-down menus and working buttons that could navigate through the app. This also allowed us to keep the user in mind, as we could experience firsthand the user journey through our app. During this process, we also decided on our colour scheme, the main font for the text on our app, the app name, and our logo. Touching on the logo design process a little more, we used our team voting system to make the final decision. We each designed some basic logo concepts and put them all in one page on our Miro board so that we could compare them together. We ended up taking features from multiple designs, but at the same time managed to keep the logo simple yet recognisable. We designed the planet symbol from scratch using an online graphic tool, and then used Figma to combine the symbol with the words in the font that we use across our app to produce our final design. This is the design that we're now using.
So moving on to the technology choices then for beyonderbound, we wanted to use agile principles to help us determine and decide what technology to use. Two of these principles being individuals and interactions over processes and tools, and satisfying the customer through early and frequent deployment of valuable software. So with that being said, here are our technology choices. So as you can see, we used Netlify and Heroku as our deployment services of choice, both for the front end and back end respectively. We chose these because both of those services offered a lot of continuous integration and continuous deployment functionality straight out of the box. In terms of the stack itself, it's a version of the Perl stack which uses PostgreSQL, Express and Node.js on the back end. This was great because it allowed us to code in JavaScript, which was a language we're all familiar with already. So it really lowered the barrier of entry to developing and deploying early on in the process. In terms of PostgreSQL, it was the best database option we researched because it allowed for flexible and scalable expansion as beyonderbound would grow. In terms of the front end, we coded in TypeScript, which was great because it's a statically typed version of JavaScript, and it kind of allowed us to document the code base as we were developing the site. We use Next.js, which is a framework built on top of React, so it has all the nice features of React, but on top of that it has things like static site generation and static and server-side prop handling.
Over the last 4 weeks we had several challenges, some of which were harder to overcome than others. We felt we had a small user research group as we only use School of Code boot campers, and ideally it would be better to have a large spread of users and also have the time to get ongoing feedback during the development process. During our retros at the end of each day, we were sure to discuss what our blockers were. Some of the items to come out of these included Next, which was a new framework for most of us, and its handling of data fetching for static site generation. We also came across an issue where we wanted to pass data from our home page to our search page, and we ended up researching and using the React Context API in order to get around this, and it made the data available to all of our site. This project was also the first one that we did using TypeScript, which was certainly a challenge, and we do need more practice on this, but it was a good exercise. Setting up mock testing for our backend and site processing for our front end was also a significant challenge that we tackled towards the end of our development process. We feel that next time we would like to try to do TDD. We decided to deploy early and frequently, with short sprint lengths that allowed us to work on multiple branches and then come together at the end of the day, merge down to our dev branch, test to make sure everything worked as expected, and then deploy to our main. We really enjoyed using the features of Figma, making a mock version of our website, including features like the carousel and the hamburger menus. We then stuck quite closely to this design when we were developing our MVP. The opportunity to practice agile software development as part of a longer project and a larger team was really valuable, and we tried to stick to our manifesto as closely as possible. We modified our original design after user feedback to remove all user authentication, and we revisited our initial decision to use Material UI, instead opting to write our own components and custom CSS for a more customized feel and a better learning experience. We also approached our project with a mobile-first vision in mind, and made sure that each aspect of our MVP worked on multiple resolutions. With more than 50% of web traffic being on mobile in 2021, we felt it was increasingly important to cater to this market.
So in terms of the future for beyonderbound, we've got a number of short and long-term goals for the project. When we were developing the site, we really wanted a clear separation of concern between the code base and development side of things and the content and copy side of things. So we could really easily onboard a team of writers who could write the content for cities and countries and general information of the site, and they wouldn't need to worry about the development of the code base and enhancements of features. In terms of features then, we've got a number of areas where our market research pointed towards. COVID is still a very prominent and important part of travelling, so as we speak we're awaiting an API key that will give us access to an extensive COVID database for restrictions and information around the world. We're also awaiting an API key for airport and hotel information for an easy integration of booking hotel and flights for people looking to go abroad. And small things as well, like extending our advanced search functionality and currency and time zone conversion. So lots of areas that we're looking to expand the site, and we're looking forward to work on that as a team going forward with beyonderbound.